Welcome to our professional training event. I see some familiar faces, so who's been here before? Welcome, we appreciate you coming back. And who's here for the first time? Oh, thanks, you got a nice combination of people. So I thank you guys for coming. We're going to have an incredible day today.
This isn't exactly how genes work, right? This is epigenetics. This is really simplified using the Punnett square that came out of pea pods. I'm really simplifying this. But my point is, this is why in families we have differences with children and protocols and supplementation, and why one protocol for one child that made a miraculous difference will not work for another one. And same goes with an adult. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to give you 2 Tracy theories that have no scientific relevance whatsoever, but I'm going to do it anyway. So does everybody understand homozygous versus heterozygous, and that when I say compound heterozygous, it doesn't mean they're a carrier. It means that the 2 things that they carry are different, but they can still be very chronically influential, correct? Okay. Everybody get that? Go ahead.
Is it discriminate more towards one area or the other, like males and females, like more females are more likely to have?
That's a great question. I don't know that answer, to be honest with you.
Or, race or
yeah. Okay.
ethnicities, all that stuff.
So that first chart, remember when I said, and guys, I'll back up. Go back to your beginning. That very chart, it says statistics, and it has Hispanics. It's all the way in the beginning. Page 3. Now that chart makes more sense, right? Because now you can see by ethnicity that some people carry more genome mutations, like Mexicans carry a higher genome mutation for 677T. Yes?
Is that because they tend to marry other Mexicans?
Right, Hispanic. So you stay within your same...
Marry whoever?
Right, exactly. So in addition to that, lifestyle, right? With all those other contributing factors we talked about, which can alter genetic mutations. So my question, being the geeky science person that I am, I would have been to be like, wonder what they're doing that's causing the 677T. I want to know how they're living. I want to know what they're thinking.
Diet
Right,
or environmental.
diet and environmental. So do you ever notice that in certain parts of the world, you'll see different types of conditions be more prevalent than others, right? So what is it in that environment that's causing methylation issues, genetic mutations, right? Sure, we all have our theory.
Is it similar to the Mediterranean system?
Yes, exactly.
Similar to what?
Mediterranean syndrome, he was saying about the Mediterranean. So as you can see, culturally, we all are very different, but we're all coming together, right? And our gene pools are all coming together, and that's okay. We just have to understand, how do we go from here, okay? So we identified that snippet, and as you can see, here's the big, messy thing that it can cause. These are all the enzymes and the miscommunication that can happen within the 2 little bike circles. That's just to kind of emphasize, when you start getting genetic mutations, all of these things can now start to misfire. Okay? So we're back to here, and now we can better see what this means. So if I look at MTHFR and it stands for this, blah, 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 using B2, I can go over here and be like, okay, in the B vitamin cycle, when it's trying to methylate folic acid to methylfolate, I know I need B6 and B2 as well. So I just can't take folate, because that's what people do. I have MTHFR, I'm just going to take folate. No, you need these. You need all the Bs. So that's why a B complex is extremely important with methylated forms of the vitamin. Yes?
This may not be relevant, but I'm just curious. I have a son with Down syndrome.
Uh-huh.
And I've never been tested to find out who, my husband or I, but what I have learned or I've read is that folate, a lack of folate in the body can cause the chromosomes to be sticky, which then
Right.
produces
Down syndrome. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. I have that in there. But yes, my guess is one of you is probably a heterozygous compound. Okay? So knowing that, that's why I'm saying, they're still in there baking, right? I think DNA can be changed by thoughts. That's epigenetics. So now that we have this information, you know now. And stories and things are given to us for a purpose. So now it's a pay it forward, right?
Do you test now?
Okay, so
I tested for Down syndrome,
yes.
spina bifida and all that, and
Uh-huh.
I came
But they don't test for methylation. They don't test for MTHFR. They test for spina bifida. They can tell you if it has it after there's an issue. But isn't it awesome that we know before now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just tested for that.
So this is, but they're not looking for MTHFR. They weren't looking for methylation. They were looking for a specific chromosome. Okay? They're not looking for a single nucleotide polymorphism. They were looking for a chromosome. Okay? So MTHFR, MTR, this is where we'll get the methylcobalamin right here. This is our communicator. B12 talks to this. Okay, let's go. Let's go across this bridge. Come on, guys. Right? So we can't just take B12 because we got to take all these guys too. Then we have methionine synthase reductase creates methylcobalamin, and then it goes into the SAM for the I can't talk. Methionine. So what happens is here we need this conversion, and that's where we're using that DMG, right? Because he's the big donor. He's going to give it all away. He's going to help with this. And then obviously we need this to come down and produce glutathione. And one of the big ones that I use for that is NAC. So we're going to get into those after we go through this. Okay, so let's talk about these genomes. 677T, this guy gets all the glory because even when you're a carrier, you're sick. You feel bad, something's off. So that's why this gets so much attention. This is the variant associated with heart disease of any kind. The 1298C, if you're just a carrier and you're heterozygous, you're not symptomatic. But if you're homozygous or you're a compound heterozygous, that's chronic illness. And we're going to talk about those chronic illnesses. For this one right here, this heterozygous compound, high homocysteine may not be detected. So it's not a good indicator to say, yes, they have and so you can get your homocysteine levels checked, right? And it'll come back. And it might be like, oh, no, you don't have high homocysteine, so therefore it's probably not MTHFR. Let's just move on. You can't rely on that for this one because it hides. Questions? Okay. So, did I hear?
I don't remember which one I have, but when I did my SpectraCell, my glutathione levels were high, but my cysteine levels were super low.
Okay.
Do you think maybe just start supplementing glutathione?
If you already have enough glutathione, I probably wouldn't do glutathione. But
No,
if
I don't.
Right.
I don't take it.
Hang on, we'll just back up to a chart. You need a chart. Holy cats, where's my chart? Okay, 40. So if we go back to, let's just look at this one. And here's your glutathione. And what did you say was low here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so homocysteine, did they test that?
I don't.
So that's what I would look at next, because I want to know if it's a conversion issue. But if this is low, then it's probably a DMG issue.
Okay.
So I would do DMG. Okay? If you follow the paths, then it makes more sense. This is how we're going to go through the next couple of slides, just this speed right here. You guys got it? All right, thanks for coming. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so 677T heterozygous. This is where you have one healthy side to it, right? One little healthy allele, and then the 677T, you carry it. Now, this affects the folate metabolism by up to 35%, which means when folic acid comes in, you only convert about 65-70% of it. 35% of it, your body's like, I can't convert that, I'm going to throw it to the liver and let it be toxic. Okay? So you're still symptomatic. You're still not getting all the folic acid you could. This is commonly associated with early heart disease and stroke. You should avoid beta blockers and PPIs. Why would you avoid a PPI? What did we say that hydrochloric does with the pancreas? He knocks on the door and he says, time to digest protein. So if you're on a PPI, you're not getting any protein. And what do we need protein for? The second part of the cycle. So if you're not getting protein, then your homocysteine just jacks up because it's not being recycled. Okay? Obviously, no gluten or dairy for these people. It's just going to cause more inflammation than they already have. But I think that's a general go-around for any of these anomalies. Okay? When you're homozygous, your folic acid needs to be avoided, period. Can't have any. The amount of methylfolate required for homozygous 2677s is greater. You need more. which means your RDAs aren't going to work. Your recommended daily allowance isn't going to work. Okay? Blood thinning requirement is greater for homozygous individuals, which means fish oil, omegas, K2 is very important for these people. Avoid acid blockers and PPIs. Homocysteine levels will be a big factor. So homocysteine for 677, heterozygous or homozygous, is a big indicator that you have that genome. Go ahead.
What if you have complicating issues and you have to be on a PPI and you're B677?
Now explain those complicating issues.
Barrett's esophagus or something like that.
Where would that come from, Barrett's esophagus? Diet?
Genetics.
Oh, you're killing me. All right. 2% is genetics. 98% is lifestyle. So if that were my client in my care, I would back him all the way up to like, we got to heal the gut, then we can take care of this. But in the meantime, I can't tell anybody to come off a prescribed medication, and I never do. I usually say, I'm going to work with you, and let's talk to your PCP about getting these reduced as you make improvements in your lifestyle, your diet, right? Because legally I can't. I'm not a medical practitioner. But I can give tremendous hints. No, I'm just kidding. But I do work with the doctor, and most of the time they're open to it. They don't want to, and the sad thing is that we go from prescription pills to taking supplement pills, and the client's still not happy because they're still taking pills. So my goal is basically to get them at the lowest point of supplementation so that they can manage it through life. But yes, work with that, but I would definitely go back and work on lifestyle, GI complete, heal the leaky gut, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and eventually, these are not, we don't have a PPI deficiency. Right, so that's, if it's not a deficiency, it's not a need. That's kind of how I look at it. But I can't legally say get off your medications. I would work with that client, okay? So homocysteine levels, again, no gluten or dairy. Obviously, I think that's pretty much a given. Okay, so this is the 1298C heterozygous. Lucky you guys, whoever you are. You have no symptoms, but you're blindly walking through life affecting other healthy people. Good job. Okay? 1298C homozygous. Okay, so now we're getting into more chronic illness with this double homozygous allele here. Hypertension, delayed speech, muscle pain, insomnia, irritable bowel, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, hand tremors, memory loss, headaches, brain fog. Sound familiar? Anybody's clients have those things? Okay. So these are not diagnostic. People walk in and say, hi, I have a headache, and you're like, you're a homozygous 129AC. I know it. You don't do that. You basically ask more questions. Questions would be, do anybody in your family have heart disease, thyroid disease, anything chronic? Yes, okay. Anybody ever been tested for genetic mutations? Well, my grandmother was, and she had something. Okay. You know what? We should probably find out what that is and maybe get you tested. Just a good question opener, right? All right, so when they're homozygous, we're getting all those things, plus now we're getting into bigger things. Raynaud's, cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. So now we're getting into more chronic illnesses, which is why they're finding with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, what is one nutrient that they're finding is helping? N-acetyl, right? NAC. Why? What's it doing? What is the thing in Alzheimer's that they say sticks to the brain? And metals, right? Heavy metals. They're blaming like things like metals and Parkinson. If you don't have enough glutathione, and Grandpa is going and getting his flu shot every year, what's happening? He's getting an upload of heavy metals, right? Or what if he has fillings put in? What if he got a root canal? So we have to look at the fact that everything we do can create disease if our body can't do it on its own to get rid of it. We have our own system of detoxification, and when it works perfectly, we don't have issues. The issue is we're getting so much more toxins now in our life than what we can actually handle, and our body just can't handle it. Plus, we're adding genetic mutations. So if Grandpa is a carrier of 677T and he's on a statin and he has heart disease and he's got this and he goes in and he gets a filling and all of a sudden a year later he's starting to forget where he put his keys. And now he's forgetting where he put this and put that. So this is how this progression can add up. Does that make sense to everybody?
So the 677T can lead to a lot of the same issues
It can, yeah, because you're still not producing enough glutathione, but he's going to have other indicators initially, right? He's going to show you something. He's going to show more heart disease, yeah. And these aren't my theories. These are studies. You can go on PubMed and trace 677T and 1298C, heterozygous, and all those fancy words, and you can follow those studies that show you exactly what's happening. And that's where this information comes from. I didn't make it up. Go ahead, Heather.
So this and the slide before are both homozygous, but this is just the progression of symptoms to illness?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is 1298C, homozygous. So all of these, and then more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, compound heterozygous. This is two different mutated alleles together. So they're still mutated, but now they're different, but they're together. So this is where we are. So this is the most severe. 70% of the methylation potential is inhibited, which means no cellular repair, no detoxification, hardly any immune response. When you get sick, it hangs on forever, right? You can't detoxify. These are the people that are super sensitive to supplementation. They take a lot of question and answer, a lot of time and testing. You have to test, test, test. You got to go back, get test, test again. So for somebody that has this condition, the investment up front is probably substantial. The payoff is amazing, but you have to follow the test. You have to make sure that you're constantly going back. Go ahead. I'm going to go to that next. I just like to leave you guys guessing. Go ahead.
Is there an average age where these things start to present themselves?
Okay, and we're going to get that too. I love you guys. You're good. All right. Thinkers. I'm in a room full of thinkers. We can all geek out together.
Are you to test for these?
That's a good question, isn't it? You would think that they would test for this in children. That is amazing that they don't. That was sarcasm in case you didn't get it. Okay, so we did this already, right? We had kids together. You guys all got married and you had these little kids and we saw how the gene pool started to spread. So it leads you to why aren't they testing? Why aren't they testing? They don't believe in it. It's also...
There's no money in it.
Thank you. Okay. So, I mean, we can follow that money trail. If I am an ND in Tyrone, Pennsylvania that has 5,000 people in my town and I know this, don't you think other people know this? People that are way smarter than me? So when we talk about this evolution of what's happening, we can go into all kinds of theories we want. The biggest thing I'll tell you today, it's not about them knowing, it's about you knowing. Because you are touching the people. Does that make sense? The more you know, the more people you can talk to, the more people you can educate, and the more people that you can help, that's what matters. It doesn't really matter what they do. It does, but the more you know, the better fight you have. The more you know, the better education and empowerment you can bestow on somebody else. Okay? So what I'm trying to get to is some of the things when I teach, and this was kind of funny because it was kind of brought to my attention lately, is I'm not an MD. I'm not a geneticist. I don't have your designations. Some of you are dietitians. Like, that's awesome. What I have is a brain, a set of eyes, and the internet, and a book. And that's really all I need. And I get on there, and I research, and I read studies, and I find out, and then I share that information with you. And the reason I say that is because regardless of your designation, everybody has the same goal in this room. We just want people to feel better. That's our goal. We're all on the same team. It doesn't matter what our background is. So help each other. Because if you don't know this information and you call me up and ask me, I'm happy. But I can't adjust somebody, so I'm going to call Micah. And then I might need some, energy work. So I'm going to call, anybody. I might need somebody to help me with a head injury, which is one of the big things that can actually turn on a genetic mutation with these, is a head injury. Okay, so there's all kinds of things that we can do together. So get in on the same team, because it's not us against us, it's us against this, right? Okay, so glutathione. We've talked about this a lot, but I want to go through just some things to help you fill in some of these gaps if you're not making enough glutathione, okay? We know the dangers of having low glutathione. We know that we need to take homocysteine. We got to recycle it back to create more protein. That's going to be a process of DMG, so you want DMG there, and B12, methylcobalamin. Okay, you need methylated B12 for this process. So if people are coming in with high homocysteine levels, you have two choices. I would usually go DMG, B12, and then going this way, I'd put in NAC. So, I'm just going to skip through these because it's basically going over what we talked about. I do want to talk about this. When you are giving proteins, denatured is the best. Okay, you don't want something that's not organic, synthetic. It's just going to be toxic to the body. So NF has a great whey protein. I think Rashid was making shakes for everybody but me. Thanks, though.
So even for the patients that you're suggesting come off dairy and gluten, you're comfortable with this whey product?
As long as it's denatured. Okay, as long as it's organic, non-GMO, as long as it's a clean source. Now, you have to assess that. If they have a lot of inflammation, probably not. But this is going to be the best way for them to actually get the nutrients that they need.
So is it okay for them in that case to have like raw dairy as
Yes,
well?
yeah, I would do raw.
Lactose-free.
Right, right. And sometimes,
I didn't know if she was chasing the lactose or the protein.
yeah, so the protein can be an issue as well. But if it's this type of source, it's good. You can use it. Try it. You can always, if it's too much inflammation, you can always back it out. Okay? All right. So, N-acetylcysteine. It's right here in the conversion of homocysteine to glutathione. So in this little map, right here, is where that all happens. So if we see high homocysteine, we know we have a genetic mutation. We're going to go B12. We're going to put some NR-DMG in there. We're going to obviously have a super B complete. And then I'm probably going to throw right in here for this conversion to happen to glutathione, the N-acetylcysteine. Okay? Whoops. I'm just trying to think. So this is a big one to help with the production of glutathione. It's also an antioxidant. It's why it works so well with Alzheimer's patients. It's why it works so well with Parkinson's patients, because it's creating glutathione and it's clearing out the heavy metals from the brain. Okay, NAC helps to support healthy lung tissue. All right, baby. Breaks down mucus. Mucus isn't bad, guys. Mucus is good. We like mucus. We just don't like it hanging around forever because then it becomes bacterial laden, okay? So it does help clear the mucus from the body, and if you find yourself having an excess of mucus, that's usually when you need some NAC. Okay? You also want some antioxidants in there. Vitamin C, vitamin E. Okay? These are the guys that take and they work it together and they recycle glutathione. They recycle him around and make him work again. So the pro reds are great. The pro colors in general. We have green, we have red, we have orange, we have purple, we have something for everybody. Candace takes a scoop of everything, puts it in a shaker, and walks around. It's like sludge. I'm like, what are you drinking? She's like, all my colors. And I'm like, yeah.